do I stop worrying? Well, that's a great question and something I think most of us can identify with. In fact, sometimes we don't even want to say that we're worrying. We want to call it concern or just, I'm wrestling with something. It's not worry. And I think we worry the most when we don't feel in control. And I hear this a lot from parents. I think because they're caught between feeling responsible for how their children are doing and the helplessness. And it's the helplessness that our systems have the most control with. When we feel helpless, the nervous system is uncomfortable, and there's a very strong urge to do something. And so we need to do something, we start worrying. The problem with worrying is it's addictive. One little thought leads to the next one, and before you know it, you've spiraled downwards into all kinds of worries that have morphed into a much bigger problem, or what some people say, the worst case scenario. Suddenly they're into catastrophizing. So worrying is a very addictive pattern for the mind, and something we really want to pay attention to. Now, what do we do when the mind does that pattern? It's absolutely pointless to say, stop worrying. And you may have noticed when other people tell you to stop worrying, yeah, it's even more irritating. The key is you have to give your mind something else to think about. The mind will not stop worrying unless you actually take charge and offer it something else to focus on. Now, usually that means we have to pull back and take a step back, take a breath, get grounded, and so on. That's particularly hard to do when we're in the heat of the moment. But it's also why we need to learn this very important skill of stepping back in order, I should say, to be able to figure out what am I thinking that's creating what I'm feeling that's really getting my whole system upset. And so I think we need to build that skill so that we have it at a moment when we need it. Very few of us have been taught the skill to slow down enough and notice our thoughts. They just go so quickly. Or it can feel we notice our feelings and they just suddenly arise. We don't know what's going on. And feelings can arise because we've already grooved a pattern of thinking a certain way and feeling a certain way. And so if we don't slow down and start to learn the skill of how to discern what we're thinking, and then look at the feelings or what our body's doing when we think a certain way, we're really going to be helpless to slowing down that spinning and that worrying pattern. So when I'm saying give your mind something else to think about, I'm not talking about distractions. I'm not talking about just changing the subject or pretending something isn't happening. I'm talking about focusing on something where you do have some control and some influence. But the first piece is really stopping the mind from the quick pattern of worrying. And the thing that I know is the key that really sounds counterintuitive is this stopping business. And it reminds me, I'm from Manitoba, there's lots of snow in the winter, and when we get stuck in snow or you get stuck in mud, whatever it is, there's this powerful urge to push harder, to go more. And you learn with time and experience, that's the wrong thing to do. You need to stop. You need to resist that urge. And in the worrying pattern, it's exactly the same. You need to stop and give yourself some time to refocus. And what you want to refocus on is where you have some control and influence. So let's take relationship, be it parent and teen or partner. Where you have some influence is in the relationship and the way you want to be connected. Often when we're worried about someone else and we feel helpless to actually keep them safe or make things better, what we really want to do is feel more connected so that they know we're there for them. They feel they can trust us. They feel they could be open with us about what's going on. And this can apply to work or personal, whatever. And so that area of relationship where you can build the relationship and your part in it is what you can do. And that will give your mind plenty to work on. How do I want to show up? What kind of fun, humor, openness, relaxed way of being do I want to show up that says to the other person, I'm here, we're good, I'm in balance. That's what we're looking for, rather than that helplessness when we have concern and things start to go the opposite direction. So this ability to pull back and to refocus is a skill. It's not something that comes naturally or that we just grow up with. And so I really like to support people and say, get some support and help to train your system to be able to stop, not make it worse, pull back, take a breath, ground in your body, and then think about, where do I have some control and influence that I can positively help myself show up in the way that I want. And as we build that skill, it'll get easier, and we'll do it more and more effectively with practice.